Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. The next item is informational and also to make
about
a
Spook
decision, well, that's what I'm leading
Oh, I'm
into.
sorry.
You know, I have, Randy, Ross come up here, just, summarize. But basically, one of the things that I wanted to discuss and just get final agreement, we have a $100,000 grant from the, come on up, Randy, to the podium. A $100,000 grant, which we need to just give the final indication, to the county that we're going to take. It's a pure grant, there's no matching, and so the intention is to use it for, Spook Hill, but the grant is related to ADA, so it would mean, redoing the bathroom, putting a new bathroom, or updating it, the parking, the fence, and a pathway in. It doesn't take care of the equipment in the field. That would be done through additional, fundraising and maybe some of the board, but I wanted Randy to talk about it. But the $100,000 does not have a matching requirement. We've confirmed that with the county. So that's something where we would be able to then work on the design for fixing up the bathroom ADA
Are
requirements.
there any
So-
restrictions on what we can do with the property once we use that money?
No, the restrictions are for the use for ADA, compliance with the bathroom, but parking, the parking area in the front right now to fix it up, so.
But that would be it, in terms of what we would
Yeah,
be
but
able
as
to
far
do.
as the rest of the grounds, they agree with our, concept as far as the recreational, the track, the equipment, fixing up the, playground and so forth. So Randy, why don't you just summarize briefly?
Well, I'm an inactive adult, so be nice to me, according to your definition. This is a plan that most of you know has been rattling around this town for about 2 years. But we've done a lot of the background work already. Thanks to Mr. Haran, we've got a foundation going on, 501c3, so that we're able to go out into the community and have people, as part of the Friends of Spook Hill, donate money, frankly. We have a bunch of businesses who are very interested in being part of this. And we've also done other work as far as the playground and the equipment itself. It's a unique opportunity for us because it's the only park around here that's going to have outdoor equipment. If you've been to California or Texas or Florida, one of the southern states, they have this a lot. Around here, we don't have it that much. But the committee's done some research, and we've found out that there is a need for this. We've also gone out to the community as far as chiropractors, podiatrists, physical therapists, and asked them, instead of giving people medication or giving people other things, that they could use our park, because there's going to be 2 walking areas in the park. One is a 1/10 of a mile that's going to be right in the middle of the park, and one is going to be a 1/4 of a mile around the outside of the park. This is just some equipment, outdoor equipment. Half the equipment is going to be between 9 and 13 stations, and about half of it will be for people with disabilities, or for seniors, or for veterans. As you can see, it's all outdoor stuff. There's a gentleman in a wheelchair. We've gone to certain parks, one in Newburgh and one upstate, and we've watched people come there during the day. Most of it is fenced in. It's very popular. It is not year-round, as you can imagine, but there is enough, months in the year that people do this. There's all types of equipment. Some of it is very rigorous, and some of it is for the inactive adults amongst us. It's in a really good location. You know the location. We've also, Dick and myself separately have gone to the school district. I spoke to Mr. Zip, who is that is his name, who is the superintendent for special needs in the district. He's very excited about this project. Myers Corners Road, which is right up the road, last year had the highest population of children on the spectrum of any school in the district. When I spoke to Mrs. Vasquez, the principal, she was extremely interested in having her students use this as part of their curriculum, her special needs students. It's only a bus ride away. So we've done our homework. We were a little disappointed with the county with the $100,000. We thought we could use that towards the equipment and towards the playground. But it is what it is. And we think with the cooperation with the board, cooperation with our partners, that we can get some matching funds and get a groundbreaking. Frankly, we wanted to do a groundbreaking before the winter set in to show intent, to show the community that we're serious about this, to show you guys that we're serious about this. Once we get the groundbreaking and we get our partners together, parks can go up in 3 weeks, literally 3 weeks. We get the Boy Scouts on the Saturday morning to help build the equipment, and we're in business. So that, there's really two things that we need to build a park like this. One is obviously funding, and the other is the will to do it. And that's why I've been doing this for about 2 years to try to get the town to understand that this is for our citizens, for our children, kids with disabilities, our veterans. We've really, Kevin and I have really looked into the veterans angle of this. We've worked with Mark from the veterans, Dutchess County. So
And the county executive is very supportive.
County executive is very supportive. So there it is. Do you have any?
So I think, at least, originally, actually, as we found out, they were not going to grant this because it's not in one of the qualified planning areas.
So this is
But
is this federal money, or what is this?
Yes, it's federal money. That's why it needs to be used for
Yeah.
the ADA and those related. But they went out of the way to do this because I think it's going to be a great plus and destination spot. And now that we've got confirmed that the 100,000 doesn't need to be matched, but they see the plan to further, develop it and get. We already have 3,000 that have been,
Yeah.
donated, subject to the 501c3 being set up. So we're putting that into it as other, communities. In my quarterly meeting with the superintendent's school's office, they're very supportive, and I'm guardedly optimistic we'll get some additional help from them.
So, just, again, the stipulation on the 100,000 was you can't use it for this equipment, but you can use it for the bathroom,
And the parking
And the
area,
parking
fix that
area.
up so
So
it can be.
access
Yeah,
type-
access and so forth.
but not the recreation
Yeah.
equipment. So
Right.
that's just a stipulation within the community development
Correct.
block grant
That's
funding?
correct.
All right, so, that right there is, the foundation of the park, right? The infrastructure of the park. What do you think it's gonna cost to outfit all of the recreation equipment?
Well, I know exactly. The padding, oh, there it goes. Well, there's Spook Hill, obviously. The padding underneath is very expensive. There's two ways of doing this. For the equipment, the outdoor equipment, it's basically cement. It's a cement slab that goes down, and then there's a padding under the equipment. And we're thinking of 9 pieces, 9 stations out of about 12 or 13. Understand these are phases. We're not going to do this whole hog. We're going to do this in phases, and we'll see how popular it is, and we'll see the support of the community. So it's, the pad and the equipment is about $85,000.
So that's the padding and the equipment on top of it?
Right.
And what about the 1/10 of a mile track?
The track is about 15 to 20,000.
All right, so you got 100,000 coming in this community development block grant for the infrastructure of it. Another 100,000 for the interior, correct?
Right.
So we just need to, figure out how we're gonna do that.
Right.
And, I just want to say, I think that this committee has been really pushing this. I appreciate being in the loop on where we are phase to phase. I would not let the fact that the 100,000 that you're getting right now can only be used for, certain things, because I think that obviously is necessary to be done too. Those,
Right.
we
It
need-
is, absolutely.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
but over, when you start talking about the school district using it, of course, the first thing I think of is, can they provide any funding assistance,
Right.
with, some of the capital costs?
Right. So I think now that we clarified that we can get the 100,000 without matching, then the plan is to start approaching them. Randy has a list of about 20 different organizations that also can contribute. You know, we feel actually pretty positive that we can at least raise the 50,000, if not more, of that, you know, from those contributions, and then maybe it's for the town to, you know, put in, or match it, you know, to some degree.
The other angle you can work, and you probably already thought of this, is, I'm not sure what it's called for 2020, but the county has what used to be called a shared services grant program, which if we can partner with the school district on a project like this, it may be applicable under that shared services initiative grant
And we
program.
may be able to also get the village involved as
Right,
part of that
and the
too.
village. So,
Yeah.
you know, the more entities that would
Right.
be involved in this, I think can be beneficial for a grant application.
Yeah, you had mentioned tourism before. Mary
Yeah.
Kay is very interested in this
Yeah, she is.
because she wants Dutchess County to be a place for people with disabilities to come to. And, you know, when she heard about this project, she was.
A quote-unquote
very excited.
destination.
It's a
I agree.
destination, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Do we have an idea on the retrofitting the ADA bathroom, and what about drainage on the back of the park?
I think, you know, if the go-ahead is to look at this, then we can get, you know, CPL and Steve. I mean, Steve has already ideas on
Yeah.
what to do, and probably can do a lot of that himself, and tearing it, you know, not tearing it down, but retrofitting it.
Yeah,
So,
when we
yeah, we'll get
looked
working
at
on
it,
that, yeah.
it looks like, it's a solid building.
Solid, you know, concrete block building, so.
I think we do have a graphic there, Joe. It's like a concept plan that I think identifies all these scopes, and it hasn't been fully vetted yet.
Yeah, your input would be valuable, very
Yeah.
valuable to this.
So Bob Gray had been working on it before he left, and then Tim's picked up on,
We
there's.
basically cataloged all these.
Yeah.
is that what we're shooting for here? or- Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had talked, Chris, you were out there looking at it.
Yeah.
We had talked about, you know, comparing and contrasting, raising the building, leaving it for storage, or building a whole new one. And we decided with, you know, budgetary means possibly keeping this building and retrofitting it. Because it is a solid building, and it does have pipes and stuff there already. As far as the water is concerned, we've been walking around there. There is water along the edges and in the back,
Right.
but there's nothing that really impacts the playground area or anything like that.
And also those, what used to be a drainage culvert has gotten
Yeah.
all filled in and clogged, and,
maybe
you
that
know,
can
if you
maybe
look
just
at
be
that,
cleared
needs to be
out.
cleared out probably,
Yeah.
from what we're saying.
Yep.
But did you have a drawing of?
I thought we had an
yeah.
aerial, I can't.
I think there's an aerial, yeah.
If it made it to the list, maybe.
Anyway.
It's not on the list.
But the committee built, you know, has worked out a very good plan
Yeah.
along with CPL, so I think we're ready to take it to the next level if the board's in agreement to
Yes.
conceptually to go ahead, but then we can tell the county that, you know, we'll take, you know, the 100,000 and
Yes.
apply it.
Yeah, I'll move that we accept the recommendation of the committee and move forward.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions?
Yeah.
Motion passes. Thanks, Randy.
Thanks,
And
Chris.
and Randy,
Appreciate it.
I would
Thank you.
just like to say, I know that you've been instrumental in this from the beginning. And I think it's great that you've been so dedicated. I'm thankful that we have such dedicated individuals in our community, such as yourself and the Bruschettis, who work really tirelessly to make sure that people with disabilities have these type of opportunities and options. So thank you very much. You
thank
do make a big difference. Your efforts do make a big difference.
Thank you.
Okay, move to resolutions at this point in time. First resolution is 2019-186. This is a resolution adopting the local law 7 of 2019, which would amend Chapter 240 zoning, Chapter 230 vehicles and traffic, Chapter 217 subdivision of land, and Chapter 175 peddling and soliciting of the town code with respect to a variety of matters. This is what we had the hearing on, and we've had a number of briefings on.
So if I may, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
I went and looked at the zoning code regarding amendments, and one of the things that we're missing is an advisory report from the planning board. So if we table this
Okay.
until the next meeting when the planning board can issue their report.
Yeah, I mentioned this to the planning board chairman. He said he was going to review it. I'd like to give him the opportunity to formally respond.
So we'll put this on the next
Okay.
planning board meeting, which is
So I'll move to table the resolution and send it to the planning board.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions?
And then
Seeing none, motion passed.
also, Jim and Barbara, we need to be in a position where we can receive plans via PDF. How do we get to that point?
So we are now.
We are.
Receiving plans PDF. We received the project today, we had them last week, and we is now sending them out by email.
Okay,
With the thoughts that, I know CPL only wants no more paper.
right.
Me too. Me too.
So what we're hoping, a lot of the members still want paper, so we figured next 4 or 5 months, we'll take a recount, and maybe once people start using their computer, we'll get rid of a lot of the paper. So all the projects will go out that way as we get them out.
Okay. Is there anything that we need to do to change the requirements set forth in the code for applicants relative to PDFs?
Jim, do we need to change the code or just change the application?
We probably don't have to change the code, but
Okay.
we can, I mean, I think it's, I'll look at that.
Just, yeah, I would just
When we,
look at it.
when the planning board's reviewing these amendments, if there's anything additional that needs to be, incorporated to accommodate the PDF process.
Yeah.
Because what I'm getting at is, there's a number of times where myself and fellow board members want to see what a
Right.
plan
Oh, yeah.
looks like, and it's not easy for us to get here between 8:30 and 4 to look at the plan. And moving forward, if we have PDF applications and PDF approvals, we can simply send out a PDF to the board member that represents that area. And of course, we've had much discussion about Old Hopewell Commons over the past 3 weeks. And it would have been nice to actually see that beforehand. So thank you for your hard work on that project, and look forward to hearing back from the planning board.
Just as a side note, Pete has already sent out by email to all the engineers and architects that we basically do business with, to tell them we will also need it in PDF.
Okay,
So
good.
they're all aware. And I think we could start putting them on the website for people that want to see the project.
You shouldn't have a problem, yeah.
I mean,
It
now
should
that
be
we'll have
fine.
the PDF, so.
Yeah, that should be very easy.
That's right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, very good. Next item is Resolution 2019-187. This is a resolution authorizing the submission of the 2019 Community Development Block Grant application. This is for out of Challenger Inspiration Field for the bathroom facility.
I'd like to make the move.
Okay.
Motion second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Very good. Next one is Resolution 2019-188. This is a resolution adopting certificate of base percentages, current base proportions, and certificate of adjusted base proportions from the New York State Office of Real Property Services. Christian, would you like to make any comments on this before we?
Well, this is our yearly process. This is the yearly process. We have to come up with the
Bettina and Mike, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
the homestead and non-homestead rates. This is the numbers that we use to split up the budget to determine which class is going to pay how much. So it's a rather complicated formula that the state has created. Same thing as at the Fishkill, I'm not an expert in this, I don't think anyone really is, but I do know how to make it happen. And we have to do this every year. So I know how to get all the numbers in, I get them all in, it spits out a number at the end, and that's what I give the board to adopt.
This year,
So-
you're at 59.29 and 40.70, which, is that a significant change over the previous, or
Well, you're looking at the current base proportion.
the current,
What we're gonna use the levy taxes on is the adjusted base proportion.
which is what?
That would be on the next page. But if you look, the prior year,
Yeah, 59.39 and 40 point, so we're pretty much flat.
right, we've been shifting slowly onto the residential class, which is what the whole point of the base proportions are. Basically, once you do a revow, there's usually a big change, so it allows you to slowly bleed on to the residential class and not harm them in a revow by dramatically spiking their tax rates.
Right.
So last year we were about 58.5, and now we're at 59.4, so we're slowly bleeding on to the homestead class from the non-homestead class, which is the whole point.
Which is defined by the state, correct? These numbers? these base rate proportions are,
These base rate proportions are determined by the assessed values that we have. But once I plug in all the numbers, this is what comes out. So, but again, the formula, if you ever read the law, it's unbelievable, so, you know,
You basically
I don't wanna-
figure out what the rate, what the proportion was
Let
at a
Mike
certain
do it.
point in time.
right. You basically, you go back to
You tell us.
you go back to a number in the past, you freeze the rate, and then you slowly work it back, but it would take 100 years to get back to the base rate, so.
Well,
But
like
then-
measuring
but as we do revals and numbers change, it also affects the way the numbers work, so.
right, so a reval is in progress, correct?
We've been doing a reval every year since 2007.
Right.
But we don't change our base year because, I've checked to see if it would be worthwhile to change our base year, and it's not.
Okay,
So, at least it wouldn't be beneficial for the homestead class. So,
right. Okay.
so again, like I said, we're not trying to have a massive spike in one side or the
What do you
other.
think, Mike?
It's a
And-
slow, it's a
And
slow
well,
change.
you know, while you're up here, why don't you just, you know, the final benefit assessment rules, any other comments? You
No,
know,
I mean,
since
the-
you're- si- all goes together, so.
The town board has established a methodology for special district benefits, so I spend a couple of weeks each year going through them all and making sure everyone's got the proper assigned benefit units. And then I put them all together in a roll, which I give to the town clerk, and they're available for inspection, and then the town board votes on them. So we usually use that to divvy out the capital costs for the districts. But again, most residential homeowners have 100 benefit units, which is, that we don't do ones, we do everything in groups of hundreds. So Fishkill does it in groups of tens, same thing, it's as long as you uniformly apply it. So basically, most single-family houses get 100 benefit units for water, 100 benefit units for sewer. So if you're a commercial, it depends on your assessment base. Again, it's a very strange formula we have here in Wappingers that takes a lot of time, but it's based on your total assessed value of the district and then the percentage of that commercial property in it. And then I assign the units out like that, so. But I think it was the beginning, but there was no comments, I think, from the public. And
No.
Our system is relatively straightforward, so, you know, and most homeowners can't complain, they get one house, one benefit unit, basically, is what we come up with,
Okay.
so.
We have a
I'll-
motion for
I'll move it.
2019-188.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. And 2019-189, this is adopting the final benefit assessment roles for special improvement districts and special improvement areas.
I'll move that too.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Nays or abstentions? The motion passes.
All right.
Thank you, Christian.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Christian.
We had a couple resolutions for tax certs. Does he want
Yeah,
to speak?
well, we're still
Yeah.
gonna have text, oh, yeah, well, yeah, we can go to
It's
that
here,
right
yeah.
now. Yeah, because that was 2019-194, then the two other ones that Jim had
Right.
presented to us. So, yeah, we can cover those right now, while Christian's still here.
You didn't do one nice.
No, I know. Yeah,
Wait,
we're
no.
still, you know, okay, yeah, we need to, you know, so I have a motion, no, this is capital O&M charges. We'll come back to that. I think, you know, Bill's point was to get the
The
tax
two.
surge, while Christian's still here.
If we could skip ahead for a second,
Yeah,
just to do these
skip ahead
tax
for a
certs.
second.
Right.
Okay, so we have tax cert number 2019-194. This is a resolution authorizing the settlement of the tax certiorari proceedings regarding AHP Coolidge Maloney. And those are for 3 parcels reductions. And that's, Christian, you want to mention, talk about that briefly, or Jim?
So this was, actually, a case that was kicking around from last year, that was settled, and, I went back and looked, and I thought there was a town board resolution, but there was a prior year, this is for Village Crest?
Right, those just apartments.
Village Crest Apartments out on Maloney Road. They had prior tax certs which were settled back in 2018. They then subsequently filed a tax certiorari proceeding for 2018. So this is kind of a leftover. It should have been settled with the other ones, but for some reason it wasn't. So this is basically settling that on the same terms
Same terms as the original.
as the original settlement.
We just
Okay.
missed a few of the properties and they filed on it again,
Right.
and no one picked up on it for a little while. I think everyone thought it was settled.
Yeah, so it kind of fell into this
Okay.
Never Never Land.
And there are 3 parcels, right?
Right,
Right.
there's more than 3 parcels up there, but there's only 3 parcels
That-
issue.
Okay,
Right, and
okay.
the bulk of the assessments are fixed, the large ones are fixed.
Okay,
These are some smaller pieces that they have around their property,
okay,
so.
very good. Any other questions? You have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. The next one is authorizing settlement of tax certiorari proceeding regarding Inspire of Morningside Properties LLC. Jim?
So, this is a property that's on Cooper Road, next to the trailer park that doesn't have water. And it's an adult home. Had to do a little research on this. I guess it was classified as a nursing home rather than an adult home. So
Right.
I think that probably skewed the valuation. Because a nursing home contemplates skilled nursing care. This is in essence the equivalent of a group home for
Right.
It's a
adults.
residence, yeah,
It's
Morningside
just a-
Manor.
It's just a
resident
residence. It doesn't have any, it's, in doing the research, it's got the lowest level of license from New York State Department of Health. And, it's an older property, it was from 1920. The 390, which is the offer, was the sale price for, actually 4 parcels. This is to settle 1 parcel. The other 3 parcels are vacant land, buildable lots, potentially, which all have a valuation of $90,000. So, this is arguably $270,000 more than they paid for it. But based on all of the issues here, I think it's a good offer based on what's there. We were looking at asking them to waive the refund for the town and the district charges as part of the settlement. So that's where that one is.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. The next and last cert item is authorizing the settlement of the tax certiorari proceeding regarding Karan Gerwal.
This is a single-family residence. It's not owner-occupied, it's an investor. He's basically a real estate investor. He has a cottage industry and
He buys up everything he can find. good
And
bad.
then files tax certs throughout. I mean, if you go on e-courts, he's probably got currently about 50 tax certs pending in various counties. So we reduced, I think it was a $5,900 reduction.
Yeah, 5,900. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Okay. Thank you, Christian. That's it for those. That's all we had tonight.
Welcome.
And the next resolution is 2019-190, resolution adopting capital budgets, O&M charges, and water sewer rates and rents for special districts and special improvement areas for fiscal year 2020.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. The next one is regarding, it's motion 2019-191, looking at your remaining board meetings at the end of the year. And the reason why I raise it is November 11th is when our next board meeting is scheduled, well, not the next one, it's on Veterans Day. So, that would, and then also I was asking questions about whether or not, and I don't know what the policy is, November 25th is the Monday before Thanksgiving, whether or not we do that, and then December 23rd is right before
Yeah.
Christmas. So, but November 11th is certainly Veterans Day. So
Yeah, I would say definitely, we usually still have the meeting on the Monday since it's a little bit far away from Thanksgiving, but certainly the 23rd is right next to Christmas Eve. Usually we do cancel that meeting.
Okay.
In terms of November 11th, I agree, the only question is, do we want to do it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
Yeah.
I mean, does it?
Barbara, was there a zoning or planning board which day?
We have a zoning board meeting on the 12th.
On the 12th, so 13th is a
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, then that's fine.
Yeah, I have no, I'll move to amend the resolution to, in addition to the change to November 13th, 2013, the cancellation of the December 23rd meeting.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? The motion passes.
Clerk got that right? Thanks. And of course, if we have a need for a special meeting,
Yes.
obviously, we'll
Yeah.
call it.
Absolutely. Okay. The next item is Resolution 2019-192, an order making certain determinations in relation to and approving the establishment of Extension Number 5, Cohen Subdivision to the United Wappinger Sewer District of the Town of Wappinger, Dutchess County, New York, pursuant to Article 12 of the town law. The cost of this are going to be borne by the applicant. Jim, do you want to make a comment?
So this is a parcel out on
All Angels.
All Angels Hill Road. It's surrounded by, it's opposite the Apple Orchard, Carmel Heights, right? This property, for some reason, was not included in the sewer district when the subdivisions were created. This was the original parcel. Every parcel around it is in the sewer district. The main ended just one parcel over. So the applicant back in, the subdivision was approved in 2017. Back in 2017, they applied, there was a request to Tri-Municipal for approval. Tri-Municipal approved this back in November of 2017. It actually, the property changed hands, and there was an issue regarding how the sewer main was connected, because when they went out to do some field work, there were some water lines that had to be crossed, so probably back and forth for about a year trying to figure out how to actually get sewer to these parcels. So it's a 3-lot subdivision. Out of one existing lot, the existing house has a septic system. It's not proposed to connect at this point, but the 2 new lots would have a new house on them, 2 new houses which would be connected to the sewer district. And there's a buy-in fee, which, was the buy-in fee paid already? So, there was checks that came in there were multiple checks
Yeah,
that came in
there's a
from
lot
the
of
prior.
confusion.
The prior owner was
Yeah.
giving us checks that,
My office even received checks, so.
we got a lot of checks, so.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, are there properties that are in the district that are paying, that don't get service?
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, and we're adding this to that list?
So there's a lot of property, so this would be,
And do we have the capacity?
yeah, Tri-Muni approved this back in November of 2017.
Yeah, but a lot's changed since then to now.
Well,
That's what I'm asking.
we have capacity on all but the wettest of days. So,
But it's still not a lot even on all, but what is the date?
so, the average flow is about what, 1.1?
1.1.
And we're, the town of Wappinger capacity is 1.375, so.
Has this parcel been paying capital costs?
This parcel would have been in the Big Pipe District. It was part of, it was part of Phase 3B for the old project.
So if they're
I don't know, if
paying-
you want to pull up one of the maps.
Are they paying? I don't know.
If they were paying previous to the request for
Well, they
capital
weren't,
costs?
the capital, so they were paying just for the pipe. But,
So they're paying for the pipe.
so,
So if they were paying for the pipe, then theoretically, they should have the option to be part of the district, correct?
well, that was, the code makes this the desired situation.
Right.
So I don't,
If you're
well,
in.
not everyone. Right. I mean, there's portions of the town that wasn't in the pipe, in the big pipe district, yes.
Well, I don't pay any sewer in my location. There's nothing in my subdivision.
So, I mean, the big pipe, I think the debt service,
Right, so the shaded area, right, of the,
so there, so this, on this map here, Cohen actually go, oh, no, is that water or?
This is sewer.
All right, so Cohen, right, scroll down.
No, it would be up.
No, it's that white one, it's
Yeah,
that one right there.
Yeah, so they're not in.
they're not in the district, but the question is, were they paying toward the big
Anyone
pipe?
inside that red line, see the red line on the outside?
Yes,
That's-
scroll out so we can see the whole
That's
red
the big
line.
pipe.
Right, because the idea was that those that were paying for the big pipe were gonna have an option to connect into the sewer. That's what we need to remember here. So we can't deny people, in my opinion, those that are within those boundaries, if they wanna, if they wanna connect.
If we don't have capacity, we certainly could, Bill.
Right.
Right, but I can't get a definitive answer
Well,
on.
that's what we're working
That's what
on, and they're
we're trying to
studying
find
more
out right
the
now.
numbers right now.
Right,
So
but we,
we'll have a definitive answer.
we just gave Myers, we just gave Myers Corners Landing 12 homes access to
We know.
sewer, so why are we even
Well,
having
they
this
were
debate?
already in the district.
Right, they're in the district, but.
They were
if
in the
we're-
sewer district, but not in the water district.
Right, but if we're gonna talk about capacity here, we can't, on one hand, say, we don't know if we have capacity and approve 12 homes, and then on the other hand, say, we can't, you know.
Well, we didn't approve 12 homes.
did.
They were already in. We
Right.
didn't have to approve them.
Correct, but we had to give them some level of approval in the last meeting
That was for water.
for
Well,
water.
water.
Okay.
Because they weren't in
Yes.
the water district.
So,
I mean, what's in the sewer district that's not connected is Cranberry. And then Cedar Hill. I mean, Cranberry, at one point, was, at the time the district was created, I believe Cranberry was 500, considered to be 550 units.
right,
So-
so if our capacity max is 1.375, and right now we have 1.1, that tells me that we have capacity. So why are we even having a
Tim?
question about one house?
We have capacity on the average daily flow, but what happens is during a storm event with all the I, everything goes through.
Goes to 1.8 or higher.
Right, but that's not what the contract is based on. It's not based on the INI max, it's based
No,
on what
you're
your
right.
average
It's
daily
based
usage.
on the average daily
Right.
use, but the reality is when you get these peak flows, it.
And
wreaks
more and more
havoc,
happen.
so.
Right.
Right, but I've been here for a long time, and I've never had so many discussions about capacity before.
Well,
You know, the
Maybe
Village of
that's the
Wappingers,
problem.
the Village of Wappingers Falls does not seem too concerned about capacity.
well, yes, they are, and they need to be more so, you know, and because of that. So, do you
they're-
want to table this, Bill?
No, I don't, I want to
Okay,
approve it.
well,
I want to
then
move that we approve
let's
it,
move.
because I think we really got to stop going down this road with capacity.
I
Our
disagree.
code,
I
our
disagree, Bill.
Our code requires that we enable those to connect to sewer, because that's the direction we want this town to go in. Am I wrong? We want folks to connect to sewer. We don't want to
If we
go,
have the capacity, that's correct.
well, we do have the capacity.
No, we don't.
How
'Cause
can you
more
say
and
we
more,
don't have
we're
the
go-
capacity?
We're going to 1.8 or more, and we're going to be, you know, getting hit harder with that. And we have to put certain facilities online, such as Wildwood.
Right.
Where we're getting citations. We have to reserve capacity with respect to those.
But if we
Or
don't,
else we're going to pay 37,500 a day in penalties.
if we don't have capacity, how
So-
can we even have
so
the
we need to
conversation
discuss-
about?
well, that's right.
How
That's
can we
what
have
I'm
a
trying to
conversation
say.
about Wood Hill Greens and
That-
a conversation
that's
about
right.
Wildwood?
We
don't
need to have
capacity.
this discussion.
Correct
That's
me if I'm wrong, is Wildwood even in the big pipe area? No, it's not.
I know that.
So then how can we even have the conversations about Wildwood?
That's why I'm trying to have those conversations now, so we start discussing this and address this where it's been ignored for so long time.
Wildwood, but they have not acknowledged.
Right.
Anybody else?
So,
So
my
maybe-
question would be though, how can we deny an applicant for connecting one house when we're having active conversations about Wood Hill Greens and Wildwood?
Well, this one was approved buy Tri-Muni back.
It was approved already by them.
So why
they-
is this a
they set
question
this
then?
up. I haven't raised a question on this.
Again, I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. The next resolution is 2019-193, a resolution authorizing use of cash deposit held in escrow to be used for top course paving in all Angels Heights subdivision. This is where we have a current deposit of $107,000 and some change. You know, this would be a release of an amount up to $80,000 to Top Course Pasadena Court. You know, this is the issue where a lot of residents are, you know, wanting to have that paved so that their school bus can come and pick them up, their children. And I think this is one where would be reducing from the current deposit, $107,000, taking that cash and having it applied to the top paving. And that's estimated right now about $64,000.
I'll move it.
Okay, you know, we have a second?
I'll second it. Just on the question, why was this not done already? Why is it coming to the town board to have this taken care of?
So the developer right now is strapped for cash. And in an effort to get this road paved before the winter, it's a cash deposit, there's no bond, it's not a letter of credit. So in order to expedite this, for the benefit of the residents on the road, I believe all the lots have building permits now?
All the lots have COs except for one, and that one is a building permit, it's just begun.
So, you know, typically we don't accept the road before approximately 85% or 90% of the lots are built out. So the road, if the base course is out there, the drainage is in. Pete Sotero went out and looked at it. I believe the highway superintendent went out and looked at it. We had an estimate from one paving contractor. The money is going to be, it's not subject to prevailing wage because it's a private contract between the developer and the paving company. But they're going to present the invoice to us. We've got a release from the developer to authorize this, the use of the escrow. So basically, he's contracting with a paver. We're going to have our engineer, CPL is going to go out and do the inspections. Provided that it's up to snuff, we'll pay the paver, pay the paving contractor. out of the
Who are they
escrow.
using?
I'm sorry?
Who are they using?
Originally, they had gotten an estimate from Avello, but Avello is not available right now. One of the options was Servac, and he was looking at somebody else, so.
And then at what point do we accept the road?
Once all of the topsoil is in and all the as-bills are done.
Okay, so all we're doing right now is basically enabling them to finish the road so that the residents can get a school bus down the road and their mailman can show up, right?
I believe the mailman is there already. When I drove it down, I saw a mail.
Yeah.
All right.
I've seen them
Mailboxes.
do that too.
I just don't want to get into the practice of doing this all the time, but I think in this case, we should help out the residents. But at the same time, on the backside of this, make sure that before we formally accept a road, that
Absolutely.
he
Yep.
is, he or she
Yeah, no,
is.
they're aware of.
And
of-
CPL's been out there, Vinnie's already been out there to look at it as well as to understand what needs to be done.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll move that.
Okay, motion second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. Next item is Resolution 2019-195. This is a resolution authorizing the naming of private road for Old Hopewell Commons Apartment Complex. This is one on Myers Corners Landing, and that's Laurent Drive that they're having. But similar to your, question, Bill, this is not accepting the road, and
Right.
they're going to have to go through all the specs. It's going to be a private road
Well, this is a
until that
private
point.
road, so
Yeah.
we're not going
So
to
we're not
accept
doing
it,
that
but
yet.
County 911 requires.
So, just a question on this. It says the developer for Myers Corners Landing subdivision has submitted the name of several roads in Dutchess County for approval.
That's a typo.
Okay, I was gonna say, so this is,
I copied the Myers Corners Landing resolution.
okay,
Oh,
so,
okay.
strike that, but the developer for the Old Hopewell Commons
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
has submitted the name, and it says they submitted several roads to,
So they submitted 4 names.
right?
And I
Yeah.
County, and they picked out after they went through them in that order.
Okay.
This was, I think,
Number two or
Two
three.
or three. So apparently there was an issue with the first or second one. So they chose this one. The developer was okay with any of the four.
So everybody's okay with this name?
So if you approve this tonight, I'll send this tomorrow up back to Laura.
Yeah, a copy of the resolution. So I'll move that we authorize Laurent Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays or abstentions, motion
Hey,
passed.
Barbara, regarding that, when do they close off Sergeant Parmentier Drive? When will they?
A little bit of an issue right now.
Yeah.
with the
Yep.
engineering happening, to change what was put in. If we're going to increase it to one more lane.
So, my question is, because Bill and I were out there, and you expect the tractor trailers to come in with the.
Yeah,
the buck-
I haven't talked to you yet, Chris.
There's
There's,
been a lot.
what you see right now is not going to be what you see when it's done.
Okay.
There's a discrepancy that I gotta give credit to our professionals, our supervisor, and our building department, and our planning board chairman, who have been working on this for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I believe in the last email, I hope that there's consensus from from our friend, the traffic engineer, on the final, which they have agreed to. And long story short, it's gonna be about 10 feet wider than what you see, and there's gonna be 2 lanes coming out
Okay.
instead of 1 and 1, which will facilitate all the concerns, and there'll be some curb adjustments made, and everything will be the way it's supposed to be. So that almost didn't happen. It was the planning board chair and our building department that picked up on that. So,
Thank you.
So it will be done. I've been walking in Indian Village, and there are a number of concerns from residents about being able to get out of their road.
Yeah.
So,
That's what we-
what we may want to convey to the state DOT is, keep an eye on the queue time on that red light, so that we make sure that during peak times, it's not queuing up all the way past the new intersection, because the intent
Right.
is that it's not supposed to queue past the new intersection, because then people on Cayuga won't be able to make a right.
I think that was brought up when I was on the planning board.
Probably was,
We
yeah,
talked
probably
about
was.
all that.
So-
and,
That was kind of one of the reasons why it was located where it
Yeah.
was.
What I told those
It
folks
is a
is,
concern, though.
we're gonna actively keep an eye on that, because
Yeah.
we all travel there, right? But, Dutchess County obviously has another major Old Hopewell Road project coming, that they're going to address some of these, issues too. So, it's a work in progress, but at the end of the day, I think the important, focus should be that it's gonna be safer, and theoretically, it's gonna be more efficient.
Yep.
What's going to be a challenge is the actual transition from the existing road to the new road, because it's going to basically have to happen simultaneously.
Well, that's when you're gonna have to make sure that concrete barricades
Right.
are being deployed at this,
Flashing lights.
whatever day that's going to be, and the signage is proper, because people that are driving there unfamiliar with the change in that traffic pattern are gonna be very confused.
Normal routine, yeah, they're gonna,
So,
Yep.
it'll all work out, as my father likes to say.
yep. Okay, moving along. Resolution 2019-196, a resolution authorizing refund of subdivision and site plan review escrow held for Airport Drive Properties LLC. This is an amount of $23,500. Again, it's been reviewed and cross-checked and is appropriate for payment.
Move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Motion passed. Resolution 2019-197, approval of the correspondence log.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Jessica's last a long time, but we do have several important, if you keep it real short, because I think it's more informational for the board to digest and then think about without any resolution tonight.
In the absence of Steve Frazier, who is dealing more with the sign aspect of it, this is the same thing that I gave out to you all last time with 2 minor adjustments based off of the recommendation of the attorney and after speaking with the insurance company. So the good news from the insurance company is because I modeled this policy after the county in terms of insurance and in terms of alcohol permitting in the parks. They're covered by the same insurance company that we are, so it all jives. There is no problem. We borrowed their language, so that covers us in terms of the policy of serving alcohol, or allowing people to serve alcohol in the park for their events. The other thing is a minor change. Jim brought to my attention that you can rent facilities in a park, but you cannot rent a park. So you will see the changes on the fee page, because there is no longer any fee to rent a park. That was a new and interesting fact that the attorney brought to my attention. So this is, again, the same thing that you all had last time. It's just another copy of it with those two changes. The thing that I would like to kind of stress tonight and get a feeling from the board is we have someone who wants to have a wedding at Carmoff, okay? They are wanting to lock in our space as the space for their wedding. So understanding that there are going to be tweaks to this, of course, they want a little assurance from us that we are moving in this direction, that we are moving in the direction of allowing alcohol to be served by special permit in our parks.
Wedding or wedding reception?
Both. Both.
And where in Carnwath are they doing this?
They are looking to use the upper field at Carnwath.
So they're gonna put a tent up?
Correct. Which those are things that we already have certain provisions in place for. They're outlined a little, in a little more detail in this. Not anything has changed since the last time I gave it to you. But they are gonna be setting up tents, porta potties, DJ, a caterer will be bringing in food, and the big question is alcohol. That's really the only thing that they have as part of their request that is outside of our current regulations. So really what they're looking for from us is, are you guys going the direction of allowing alcohol to be served in parks? Because that's a deal breaker for a wedding.
How many individuals do they plan on having attend this wedding? Did we know?
Between 100 and 150, I actually have their papers that they gave me, yeah. So
Because when you talk about these insurance requirements, and I don't know the specifics, but I'm assuming that the insurance policies probably don't anticipate that number of people at some of these events, because usually you don't have 150, 200 people at a park event.
Well, the policies that we are requiring, which again is modeled off of the county, does cover that. There are stipulations in the insurance policies that they purchase, as well as a host liquor liability portion to the policy.
How many hours? I mean, this seems like, and as I said, this is really something new, as you said, which I think we do have to consider, because having an event at a park like Mart's Field or something of that nature is entirely different from having a wedding reception. That's going to be an all-day event, and people are going to be drinking all day, and it's a little bit different, I would think, than what we normally would expect. Even in terms of just maintenance and policing, how would we work that out? I mean, also, obviously, we also have certain structures in Carnwath we probably want people staying away from, so I'm just wondering how we would work that out. That really would be my concern.
Well, something that we could do in terms of the monitoring of areas that we don't want people to go into, we could have to have a buildings and grounds person on staff there. In terms of the supervision of the alcohol, we have two separate.
Can I stop you there for a second? So basically, that would be an additional cost that I'm assuming we would impose upon them if we had.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah. In terms of the alcohol, there's two different stipulations in here. One is for alcohol that's under the supervision of the renter. Okay, they're signing off as an individual to abide by the.
Move the microphone there. There you go. Wonderful. I'm not Bill, I don't know where to, there we go.
It's, if it's under the supervision of the host, which pertains a little more to events at, say, Marts or things like that, they're signing off on the rules and regulations of it that are in this packet. There is a second stipulation in here for information to be provided by a licensed bartending agency, which is more what you're likely to see in an event at Carnwath.
Well, I think that in general, I think that we should move forward with this policy, but it's some of these out-of-the-box type of events, I think we probably need to think about that more before we just automatically say that we can do things like that, because it seems to me to be an additional type of undertaking that we haven't totally thought out and planned for, because it seems as if there are other things we will need to consider other than what's in this policy that were
Well-
probably not meant for such an event like a reception.
Not, actually, it's written up in there to be comprehensive for things like that. There's questions about how food is prepared in terms of, is it prepared on site? Is it prepared in a food truck? So that the fire inspector can be involved.
Okay.
There are stipulations about tents that we had discussed with Barbara. What kind of tents need the approval of the zoning department? Everyone will be provided with a copy of the noise ordinance for the town. I don't think at Carnwath that's really that much of an issue because they're kind of far off from everything. But all of that is part of this policy to cover the smallest event that you could have at Mart's with 25 people, all the way up to the approvals needed from the town board for an event this size.
An event of this size, is there a stipulation that allows for some type of security deposit in the event there's any damage or additional cleanup that might have to take place afterwards?
It's a blanket deposit. We could visit having a larger deposit for an event like this. There is a $100 security deposit that's required for
Yeah, I
anything.
don't think that might be enough for an event like that.
Yeah, so we could, what we could do is once we go over a certain size, it doubles, things like that. There is also an additional fee. It's a nominal fee of $50 just to file the permit, the special permit for alcohol to be served at an event. So that's
Well,
also
I'm
part
quite
of
sure
that.
that an event this large would have a professional tent company come in. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like they're putting up little tents, so.
Correct.
And it's probably catered, correct?
So I guess, do
Yeah.
we have to approve the individuals that do that, or is that something they're just gonna automatically do? As Councilman Phillips said, we wanna make sure that they're professionals as far as the food preparation. Did you have a question, Barbara?
That's coming through,
Along with food, they may need health department.
Yes.
Or the
Right.
vendor would have
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
But as far as the tent, we have different places that have tent events or private people. And so depending on the size, and if it has sides, et cetera, the fire inspector or whoever's available will go out as soon as the tent's up. They make sure there's nothing being cooked in it, they make sure there are fire extinguishers, there's at least two, if it has sides. And it might because in case it rains.
Yeah.
That there are 2 exit entrances. And there's a list of different things that are looked at. And for tents of that size, it would probably be
Yeah.
of a larger tent company
Yeah.
coming in to put it up.
And I'm
And-
assuming they'll also look at it to make sure structurally it makes sense. I know that, I mean, I haven't been up there in a long time, but there's a big incline in that area.
Right.
So I'd want to make sure that whatever space they're using would basically fit on a flat surface so that there isn't any issues with that. Is that something they would look into also?
Honestly, I think if they go for the tent, I don't know if they look at that.
Yeah.
But I think we'd have to look at where are they coming in and
Yeah.
leaving from as far as traffic.
Yeah.
So I
And-
think that we need a plan from,
Okay.
if this works out,
And-
from the event people.
Yeah, and what it has in here is questions about all of that kind of information. What size tents, does it have sides? And then that lovely cheat sheet on the front tells you who these things need to pass through to get approval. So if it's something like having a barbecue at Mart's and they're not serving alcohol and they just need the pavilion, what's changing is they don't need to give us the insurance policy, which our carrier is fine with, okay, for events under 100 people. And they just need the bathrooms and electricity. Steve and I can handle that. Once you start getting into these more complex situations that involve tents, that involve cooking, that involve alcohol, that involve even temporary signage on site, it starts to pass through more hands. It starts to pass through a chain that is identified in this policy. And any permit that would, any special permit that's applied for alcohol comes to the board regardless.
And the building department's involved as well, as you said, so that gives me some comfort also.
Especially because of the tent, you had to figure out the signage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know how, we can charge someone $100 when we have all of these incurred expenses that we have to do to make this event safe. When is this wedding supposed to be?
Summer of 2020.
Okay, I've been doing weddings for 25 years, okay?
Yep.
2 weeks ago, I did a wedding under a 100 by 40-foot tent with 170 people, and it was
That's
only a
huge.
block from here. I would not want anything like that in our town park. Not because the people aren't great people.
Yeah.
There are way too many liabilities. I mean, I did a wedding at Casperkill not long ago, where there were 150 people under a tent, and the cops came 3 times because neighbors were complaining. Even though it wasn't past 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was a nuisance. And, the issue that I see here is we're almost trying to enter into a commercial type, situation here, when the flavor, in my opinion, of renting a park is for a family gathering or something small. We start getting into facilitating these types of events, and we're getting into a world of variables that I'm not so sure we want to get into at this juncture. I'm not saying down the road we don't want to, yes, I do have this vision of a locust grove here in the town of Wapshire. I think that would be great. But I think that we need to make sure our ducks in a row well before we get to that.
Yes, and I concur, and that's why I brought up those issues, because I think that we need to think this out a little bit more.
I mean, imagine people that, and I've done a lot of weddings, so I can say this.
Yeah.
You're always going to have a small percentage of people that drink too much. Imagine navigating that hill in the dark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked about the terrain before.
You know.
Because I know that terrain, the terrain is not easy to navigate. I'm not even too sure you could put a tent up there, no less having the people walk up and down to
Or if
it.
it starts to rain.
Yeah.
now the
Yeah.
Oh, with the mud and everything, yeah.
Right, and the last thing I'd want to be is in a situation where the next day we now have people unaccounted for someplace on our
In
property.
tuxedos, I
Yeah.
guess.
So
Dylan the Goldie.
I appreciate the fact that people want to use the property, but I'm not sure we want to jump feet first into 100-plus people
Well, we gotta
events,
get up there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
especially with alcohol.
So at this point, what I would do is reach out to the couple and tell them that we're not prepared to be holding this kind of event at that facility.
At this time.
Well,
exactly.
listen,
Yeah.
I have no objection to them if they want to set up on top of the hill and exchange vows right on top of the hill from a ceremony perspective. That's totally different. It's a beautiful view, it's a great spot to go and get married for the ceremony side of it. I don't have an objection to that. But the reception, the 5 hours that follow, right? And generally, there's 2 hours in between the ceremony and the cocktail, right? So what are people doing during that 2-hour period prior to the 5-hour period?
They're
right?
roaming around Carnwath.
Well, no, they're drinking. So now you have, by the time you cut the cake, you have 7 hours of alcohol intake and still 45 minutes left to go to the end of the event. I mean, I do this for a living during one of my other careers. So there is a science to this, and I can tell you that my gut feeling on this in a town park at this particular moment in time is probably not a responsible thing to entertain.
Okay.
I agree.
I agree.
All right. So in terms of this policy, and we're not going to decide on any of this right
Tonight,
now.
we'll need a
no.
chance to look at it
Yeah.
further,
So
discuss
let's start thinking about it as you look through this going forward, and take it home and read it over again. We can start scaling back on the numbers of people allowed at these kinds of events.
And-
So think of how we can apply it to smaller events, the kind of things that we are interested in, barbecues, baby showers.
Now, what about the signs that we want to put up?
That,
Can we deal with that as a separate issue from this?
Yes, I actually have to defer that part to the attorney, because that was more
Yeah,
Jim and Steve
We'll
together,
discuss
so.
that later, because we
Yeah.
had a meeting and discussed it,
Yeah.
but if we do it, we'll never get to it.
Only because a couple of residents have
No,
asked about it.
yeah,
I'm
we're-
sure they have
We had
asked
a
you as
meeting,
well.
and Jim
They
and
can
I
just
and
stare at me now.
Steve and
Yeah.
we talked about it.
Yeah.
so
They're like,
we
are we ever
working
gonna get
on it.
signs? Are we ever?
Yeah, yes,
Well,
yes.
first we gotta figure out what the rules are.
Right.
So Jim's working.
Well,
So,
But anyway, we did have a big constructive meeting on it.
okay.
all right, well, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
know, I'll
Thank
get in
you.
touch with the couple and let them know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay, need to, discuss some things in executive session concerning litigation and, employee matter and contract negotiations.
I'll
So
move to
I
go
have a
into
motion.
executive session for those purposes.
All in favor? Aye. Nays or abstentions, motion passed. Let's go. Meet.